UTV 44 Game of the Week show. Brought to you by Metro PCS.
Another week of high school playoff action about ready to get started here on UTV 44. We're about 30 minutes away from kickoff, and it's a big one tonight. The semifinals in 7A is Central-Phenix City coming down for a rematch against McGill-Toolen. We'll talk all about that one here at Metro PCS, our pregame show. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, as we get you ready for another round of playoff high school action here on UTV 44. Last week, Dan, had not seen Daphne since week 2 of the season. We were excited to see that. Wanted to see Opelika, kind of knew Opelika's history and Coach Brian Blackman, and wow, what a team the Bulldogs have in 6A.
And they replaced a lot of players from last year's team, so it was kind of surprising that they were so in tune with each other and really so talented. They were a really good team. And of course, Central-Phenix City, they know a little bit about Opelika as well because they played them into a tough game, a 7A versus a 6A power, earlier in the season, about week 4 or so. So we can take something away from that game, but it's always tough this time of year. You're trying to measure who's who, and sometimes it just has to play out on the field.
Yeah, I think some surprises like UMS, right? Losing last week, I was surprised that, especially a home game against Hanley. That was one we didn't expect. You don't see the Bulldogs and Terry Curtis get bumped out in round 2 very often.
No, you don't, but I think it's a really good Hanley team. And in some cases, some of the top end of 4A might be as good as the top end of 5A at this point, which is crazy to think. But it's an ever-changing, ever-evolving landscape of high school football in Alabama. And once you think you've got it figured out, you're reminded that you don't. You've got to let the teams get on the field and play. That's when you see what's up. Talking
about Opelika a little bit, we have to talk about the Blackman Bowl that will take place in Spanish Fort, second year in a row, and both coaches really trying to downplay that, saying, hey, that was the thing last year. It was too much attention on us. This needs to be on the kids. But really excited to see those two teams match up together. And how about the Toros going on the road up to Tuscaloosa, Hillcrest, get the win, and just defensively just shut them down on the road. And here the Toros are. A lot of people early in the year, maybe this isn't the same Spanish Fort team. They lost a lot, you know. Well, here they are. They're back in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, we didn't hear the whispers. We heard people talking out loud about Spanish Fort wasn't the same. But the fact is, they've got that pedigree, and they've got that defense. And we talked about it from the beginning of the season, that front 7 for them. And now they're developing some players on the back end. That front 7 is scary good, 7A good. And so that's going to keep them in a lot of games that it looks like it's going to keep them in the playoffs. The Blackman Bowl 2 is going to be something special in Opelika.
And then seeing a chance to get this McGill team back on TV. We're certainly excited to do that. We haven't seen them since the Blunt game when they were so dominant in that, and I can't wait to talk to Caleb Ross and the players just about, you know, last week's game, it was right down to the wire, and they won that game, so we'll talk about all of those things, but also Blunt Leopard's still alive. Blunt comes from behind as Kadarius Toney throws a late touchdown pass to get the win. So, you know, some of our local teams didn't fare as well, but you still got some of those stars and great teams alive to play this week.
Yeah, like Bubba here and of course Kadarius. They both kind of saved the day for their teams, but that's why players and you know, great players on teams do make a big difference. They made a difference late in games, maybe a little later than their coaches wanted. But they made up the ground that was needed. They made up the points that was needed. And, of course, this time of year, it's all about winning and surviving and moving on.
All right, so we will move on and talk about the McGill Central-Phenix City game coming up here tonight on UTV 44. And do have to let you know we're at Metro PCS. We're at the Westmobile location, 7335 Airport Boulevard. They are, that's your spot if you're a McGill fan. Also, another spot is 1270 Spring Hill Avenue. And there's probably one up there in Phoenix City. I would guess there's a Metro PCS
probably so.
Up there. Stop on up there. And, hey, if you're still looking for the best deal of the football season, it is right here at Metro PCS. Stop in here and get a free Samsung Galaxy On 5 smartphone right now. Stop in and see our friends here at Metro PCS. When we come back, Caleb Ross, head coach of the McGill-Toolen Yellow Jackets, defending 7A state champions, trying to get back to that championship game. Coming up right after this. Metro PCS pregame show. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan here with you as we get ready for a 7A semifinal matchup. One less round of playoff action in 7A as there's less schools. So winner of tonight's game will go on up to Auburn to play for a state champion. And we really want to ask Vic Lockett a lot during the game. You know, Vic, where's the championship game played? Just to make him say Auburn on TV, because he just hates to say that.
You don't like to say it.
that word. Matthew Radoslovich, linebacker for the Yellow Jackets with us. Caleb Ross, head coach for McGill here as well. McGill undefeated on the year, defending state champions, one game away from going up to defend their title. Let's go back before we talk a little bit about the matchup with Central-Phenix City. Go back to last Friday night's game, and it was a game down to the wire against Enterprise. Big play had to be made by your big players late in the game, but the big takeaway, you found a way to win again, won the game, and moved on.
That's right. You know, if you look at a checklist of how to lose a game, and we probably did it. We had penalties, we had turnovers, we gave up a special teams touchdown, they ran a punt back. I mean, that is not how you draw it up in the game plan to go win a game. But, you know, what's proud of our kids, and especially our defense, we were put in some bad situations with field position, and led by that young man right there and some other guys. And time again, our defense made key stops. And it gave the offense the ball back, and we had just enough juice, had just enough in us to make a play when we really needed it. You're talking about down to the last play of the season. And but we liked our matchup, we liked the play call. And, you know, really we'd been struggling kind of at times tonight to protect Bubba, but it was a time we had great protection. Larry won the route, and Bubba found him, hit him in stride, and we move on.
And just but your kids at some point, just that resiliency and just that fact that, and not the panic, making it. I mean, they're the heart of a champion, defending champions. I mean, that's got to be something really special for you to see as a coach.
Yeah, you know, our kids have been in so many big ball games in the last 2 years. They played in state championships. They played in Bryant-Denny. If you look at the big games early in the year with Blunt, Spanish Fort, Murphy, some of the big games last year, even in 7-on-7, they've been in big stages. So our kids have been in those moments so much, they're not going to panic. They're not going to, you know, they're not going to make mistakes that maybe other teams would make. And so I credit a lot of that. And we have coaches. I'll give this our coaching staff. We're not guys that panic, and you know, we've been in a lot of big ball games. Our coaches have. So, you know, it's part of it. It's part of playoff football. It's going to be 4-quarter games, and you got to call it all the way down to the last play. And our kids played it that way. And, you know, fortunately, we came out on the top end this time.
And I know that, you know, you coach a lot of football other parts of the state, including Prattville, but then you come down to Mobile with an opportunity to coach a kid with a football name. Because you got Matthew Radoslovich, and that's out of the 55 Pittsburgh Steelers, I think. But that name itself kind of says football. Talk about him as a football player.
Man, you talking about, if you use one word to describe Matthew, is just tough, man. Just a hard-nosed kid. We've got some other probably bigger stars that get more, and deservingly so, like a Carlton Marshall or you know, a Trey Bendoff or Trey Young. But you're talking about a kid that is steady, plays consistent every Friday night, and just a tough, hard-nosed kid. Man, he's one of my favorites. He's just kind of a man's man. He's a football player. He brings it every day. He's tough. He's gritty. He's in there, and really, he's kind of one of those glue guys that holds it all together on defense. He's had an outstanding year. Really proud of the year he's had.
You know, from one man's man to another man's man. So Matthew, talk about the season. So here you are. You've gone undefeated, coming off the state championship last year. Had a very emotional win last week, but now you're one game away from getting a chance to defend that state championship. Just kind of what's your thought like going into this game, or is it just like another work week for you kids?
Well, it should be like every other week, but it is the semifinals. But we've been, our practice, I mean, we haven't done really anything different. It's been same type of practice all through the season. I mean, we haven't put in anything special.
You know, and there's so many offensive stars on your team, and certainly defensive stars as well, but the defense really has played so great this year. Championships win defense, that's what everybody says, and really it has to be a very prideful aspect for those of you on that side of the football and what you've accomplished so far this year.
Yes, sir. And just playing with those guys, it's like Carlton Marshall, I think that's the best football player I've ever seen. Like, and having him right next to me, I mean, sometimes he gets all the glory, but I'll take it. Because, I mean, he does all the dirty work, and I'm fine with that.
You know, we've been doing this for 15 years or so. He's one of the best football players we've ever seen. And so playing next to him must be like a dream. Plus, that's your teammate. How cool
yeah, he's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And you have to have that closeness. I mean, there's a lot of great teams have a lot of great players, but you have that closeness together. Speaking of closeness, hey, part of the intriguing storyline we'll talk about during the game tonight, you, Coach Jamie DuBose, up at Prattville at the same time. We've seen him come down here, bring some great teams down here. Didn't know you at the time, but you were part of the coaching staff. But talk about the relationship you have with Coach DuBose and what he and you have meant to each other working together over the years.
Sure. Well, first I have a ton of respect for Coach DuBose. Obviously, he's a very exceptional football coach. And I'll say this, I learned a lot of football from Jamie. When I was 2006, I took an assistant job at Prattville. Jamie was offensive coordinator. I was just a running backs coach. So he's really a guy that kind of showed you how to set up offenses, how to design stuff, how to set up a game plan. And, man, we spent a lot of hours, just me and him sometimes, just in the office, putting those game plans together. And then, obviously, when he became the head coach at Prattville, he promoted me to offensive coordinator. So, and was fortunate enough to work 3 years under him. We had some great teams. We'd won 2 as him as offensive coordinator and won 1 as him as the head coach. So played in a lot of those big ball games. And so a ton of respect. He means a lot. He's done a lot for my career, you know, but and I'm sure he'd say this the same way I'm about to say it. You know, this game's about our team and their team. It's really nothing to do with him and I. You know, there may be some similarities on offense, but even that, there's still some things that we've both done different just then. So a ton of respect. And there's other guys on that staff. And there's Mark Hurt, who was on our staff at Prattville, as the head coach at Blunt.
Yep.
Yeah. So know him. And there's a couple guys that are now coaching over there that played at Prattville. One's a guy named Justin Albert. Ain't no kid anymore. He's their wide receiver coach. I coached him at running back. So, and he's him and Carlton Marshall, the 2 best football players ever coached ever.
Wow.
So there's a lot of storylines there.
Yeah, well, it's those championship programs are always interwoven together. You know, the coaching tree is always like that. Coach DuBose just got his 100th win as a head coach last Friday night as well. Congratulations to him. We'll see him a little bit later on. Matthew, good luck out there tonight. Be safe. Coach, stay here. We'll talk with you some more as we get ready for the big matchup here tonight. It is McGill and Central-Phenix City, and we are at 7335 Airport Boulevard at Metro PCS. And if you're a McGill-Toolen fan, 1270 Spring Hill Avenue is your local store for the Yellow Jackets and Metro PCS. Come back and we'll talk more about this big matchup in 7A. The winner of this one goes on to play at Auburn for a state championship in a couple of weeks. Just about 15 minutes from kickoff here in the 7A semifinals at the Lip. McGill-Toolen playing host to Central-Phenix City to find out who goes to match up against the winner of Gadsden City. How about them, Gadsden City? What a run they are on, taking on Hoover as well. Trey Roberson, running back, with us here this segment, and still the head coach of the Yellow Jackets, Caleb Ross. And Coach, you were talking about the history with you and Jamie DuBose that you had at Prattville, but the history between the 2 schools we're going to see here tonight. A big semifinal game last year on the road. You went up there, won 26-21, blocked punt early in that game, got the momentum on your side, and so there is some recent history between the 2 programs as well.
That's right. You know, and you got to think too. Both teams played each other in the basketball 7A state championship game. So,
and we know how that
that's
came
right.
out.
So, and a lot of our kids play basketball, that played football, and I think the same thing. Phoenix City, they've got a lot of football kids that played basketball as well. So, these kids are very familiar with one another. And I know, I'm sure if you're Phoenix City, they want revenge. I mean, they want to come back and they want to get that victory. Same thing, they lost in football and in basketball. You know, but for us, hey, it's about winning the next game and what that means of going on and, you know, playing for another state championship. But, you know, it's going to be a challenge. Phoenix City is, man, they're really good. They're fast on defense, fast and physical. They play a really aggressive style. They're going to get up in your face. They'll play some press. They're going to bring pressure. They like to bring blitz. It's going to be a challenge trying to protect Bubba. You know, it will, like it was last week against Enterprise. On offense, very dynamic. Their quarterback, who was supposed to be their starter last year, he's back. Had a knee injury last year. He came back. He is very good. He can throw it. He can run it. Probably one of the best running backs in the state. He's very dynamic, does a good job running the zone, real patient, and explodes through the hole. They're big up front on the offensive line, and they've got some weapons at wide receiver. Probably got one of the top recruits in the state next year. And I think his name's Justin Ross at number 5. Very dynamic. He's one of those 6'4", 200-pound kids, and he can run past you, run over you. I mean, we got a big challenge.
Other than that, they're kind of average.
Yeah,
I mean, they're just kind of average across the tape. Hey, Trey, take us in. So last week we were just talking with Coach Ross there. So down to a minute to go in the game. You're deep in your own end. First down, you have a penalty. Then there's run for a couple, and there's a bad snap. Then third down is incomplete. Now it's fourth down. I mean, you were literally down to the last play of the Yellow Jackets season. What was it like in the huddle as everybody was coming to the line for that play?
Well, I knew that we had to make a big play, so I just looked at Bubba, and I was like, you have to do whatever you do to throw the ball to anybody. I'm just saying anybody, because at that point, it was like deep down, fourth down, probably 4th and 12. So I had to do what I had to do. I had to block my butt off. And the same
And you did.
same
And
line.
Coach was saying, hey, it really had trouble, defending the pressure coming on Bubba. But on that play, he had the time that he needed to make the throw.
Yes, sir. So when I was going in, when I was blocking, I just looked up and I saw the ball up in the air. I was like, oh, Bubba. And then I seen Larry Rimmer down the field. I was like, is he gonna catch it? Please catch it. Please catch it. Please catch it. And then I looked to the left and I looked to the right. And I looked up again. He caught it and he scored. And as I saw the crowd jump up, my eyes started to water a little bit, but I kind of held him in because I'm a man. I can't do it.
It's okay. Hey, sports one of the I can tear up at any sporting event.
That's one of the greatest perspectives on a play I think we've ever had on this show. That was really fantastic, and what a play it was. And Trey saying, I knew he had to throw it to somebody. You got a lot of somebodies out there out wide. But talk about that route and why you thought it would work and what the route was, what the play was.
Well, we knew going in that Enterprise liked to play a lot of man coverage, and they had, and what we thought were 3 really good DBs that could play anybody man, but we have 4 wide receivers. So the question going in tonight was who were they going to match up on, who was going to be the odd man out. And the other kids were good players, but they had 3 really good ones, and we had 4 really good ones. So as the game got into it, we saw that Larry Rimmer was going to be the matchup. Well, we tried to run that route earlier in the game twice. One time, Bubba just missed the throw. The other time, he had pressure in his face, and he's wide open. He's got 4 or 5 yard separation. So we knew if we ever could get back around to it, we'd have a chance at it. And it was one of those things, hey, we got it, let's take it. And Bubba hit him in stride, and it was a big play.
You know, last week, Dan, we were talking with Kenny King, and he was talking about the details, and he preaches that to his kids. You know, hey, it's the details. But how about from a coaching perspective, the details that, to know, hey, we're going to get that, we might get that chance again. And then, Coach, you've got to be able to have it under composure, make that call, recognize it with, as you said, 1 play to keep your season going. I mean, it was a big moment for your coaching staff, I would say, right?
It was. Nobody panicked, and we have a lot of guys that help. I do call the plays, and I just knew that if we could get back around it, it just seemed one of those things, hey, that's the right call. Let's go with it. And sure enough, they played the same coverage in that situation, so it worked out.
You know what is interesting, Jim? I just want to say this quickly. You know who else no doubt knew that? Was Enterprise themselves. They know that they've got 3 stud DBs and 1 guy that can come or go, and so they're probably biting their nails, thinking, I hope they don't do it. Well, they did it.
Hey, Coach was just saying that you are playing your best football of the year right now at the most important time of the season. I mean, do you feel like right now this is as well as you felt all season long?
Well, I mean, I first came out, I was kind of like low. I'm not saying low, but I was coming out a little slow. I had to find it. I had to like find my reads and everything. But later as the season progressed, I kind of found my holes and found my reads. I set up my blocks and everything. And so it kind of transitioned great.
Yeah, and it's this is fun. This is the fun time of year, right? This is fun. This is playoffs. This is what you work all summer for. Trey, great to meet you. Be safe out there tonight. Coach, stay here. We got some silly questions for you. Coming up to wrap things up, McGill and Hillcrest. Oh no, it's McGill and Central-Phenix City. That's who's playing tonight as we get ready for the matchup tonight. Winner of this will go on to play for state up at Auburn. Coming back, we'll wrap things up from Metro PCS. We're here at 7335 Airport Boulevard out in West Mobile. Cam Brennan, Caleb Ross, head coach of the Yellow Jackets, as we get ready for the 7A semifinal matchup game. Central-Phenix City coming down to take on McGill-Toolen. McGill-Toolen unbeaten on the year. Central-Phenix City 1 loss, their only loss to open the year against Hoover, who is also trying to play tonight to get into the championship game. And the Central-Phenix City team beat Opelika by a touchdown. That was all this year. We got some good intel from Coach Blackman about Central-Phenix City. Coach, before we get into these silly questions, we were just talking about with Trey, and is it fun? I mean, can you still have do you try to keep the fun factor in it, or is it just because it's so pressure-packed right now?
You do. I mean, it's all of the above. It is big moments, big moment of the year, and that's why we don't ever try to bring that up as a coach, because these kids here, they know, they feel it. They know it's a big game, so you still got to be focused, and there's a fine line being focused and being relaxed, letting them have fun, but we still try to do fun stuff and make it fun, because at the end of the day, it's still a game. And these are high school kids, and we want them to enjoy this. But yeah, we put a little fun to it, but hey, there's a lot of work to be done.
All right, here we go. Silly questions to get you ready for Thanksgiving next week. So we'll start it off light or dark?
As far as meat?
Yeah, turkey.
Light.
Really?
Yeah, they go with the light meat.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, all right.
With a little gravy.
Yeah, socks, thick or thin?
Thin.
I'm a thin.
God, see, I can't stand wearing socks, but if I got them on, I got to have thick socks. And I try not to wear them.
You know, I've never thought about that question before.
Yeah,
So
well, that's why we do this. Your favorite cheese, Coach Ross?
Oh, probably cheddar. Yeah.
Swiss, okay. It's not like a Roquefort stinky cheese. That's not
Why
you.
would I want to stink your cheese?
Let's see, cornbread or jalapeno cornbread?
Depends on the mood I am, but I'll just say regular cornbread.
New administration, I'm going to go with the standard cornbread.
All right. Last time you wrote a handwritten letter to someone?
Oh, last week.
It was probably over the summer.
Yeah, I'm glad. That's a kind of a lost art, and really, if you ever when you get one,
Yeah.
it's like one of those things that really
Means a lot.
Really does. Rather ride a wild horse without a saddle, or be chased by a rabid dog?
Probably chased by a rabid dog.
Well, like you got good wheels.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think you have a chance maybe to slow the horse down. But that dog's going to catch old Dan.
We do not like that
telling you, man.
whatsoever. And it's kind of like this, if you had to wear a T-shirt with one word on it for the year, what's that word?
Oh, man. I don't know. You stumped me. I have no these questions.
McGill. And I thought he would.
That's a great one. That's hard.
There we go. All right, speaking of McGill, they are playing tonight here on UTV 44. It is the semifinal matchup going up against Central-Phenix City. The winner goes on, and hopefully this team right here is playing to defend their state championship coming up in 2 weeks in Auburn.